That's right.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. We like to call this Monday Night Football. Let's go ahead and just get started. I'm Wiesel from Footmex Nation. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football, Mexican soccer, and we're jumping right in. We have a packed hour. No need to say hi to anyone. We're just going to go on with the questions. Here we go. Question of the day. What would be the one change you would like to see made to the Concacaf Champions League? Cesar? Let's go to you. In San Diego, Tijuana? Okay, we'll say hi. We have time to say hello.
How's everyone doing? I've got two answers here. All right, I've got
two.
Yeah, I've got a joke answer.
That's good because I've got none.
Go ahead and type that one out to Tom. So I actually got one, Tom. I figured it out. I hopefully you don't steal it.
All right. So my joke answer, I would change the theme song.
Dang it! I swear to God, that was mine.
It just feels like. It feels like
I was reading.
I can't even just Google it. The CONCACAF theme or CONCACAF whatever. So it feels like I'm waiting in a line at Disneyland. I'm like, this isn't. I don't know. It just doesn't make me excited for a soccer game.
I was reading the question. You like this change about the CONCACAF, and I was gonna go the champions, right? And I'm like, that's cool. The song.
That one's
the song. The song. I was gonna change the song, and you took it. I knew you were gonna.
They could just use that one.
Just copy it.
The CONCACAF champions. My real answer is it's just fun. It's find a way to make the finals, like the final series, like make that game on a weekend or two. Just because it always feels like a Copa MX match during the middle of the week. I know with scheduling, it's like impossible. There's probably like no way with the scheduling to not move it past a midweek schedule. But it's just, I don't know. I want it on at least on a Friday or a Saturday or Sunday. It'd just be nice to kind of like hype it up a little bit more, make it a little bit bigger to make the final or at least the second leg on a weekend. But it always feels like a Copa MX match because it's like in the middle of the week.
You make me feel like a Copa MX match. Like that's I feel that's a really bad way to say it. I'm sorry I got to break up with you, but you make me feel like a Copa MX. Not important. All right, let's see. Tom and I were struggling for the last 10 minutes to find it, and I'm still struggling. So we're going to go to Twitter where we got some answers. Pep Mexicano, Kansas City in 87 said, there's 1 week breaks in between matches for most part. Spread them out so fans can make some kind of adjustments to attend them. That and get an English broadcast for viewers in the U.S. I don't think there is one. I think there is one.
Yeah, I thought there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is one.
Yeah, there's some in that they do. Let's see.
I'd say mine's going to be for the MLS teams. Give them a 1-goal start on each of the knockout games, so they give them a little bit of a boost.
Tom,
you know what I mean? And see if they can progress a bit more.
Tom,
no.
Start out.
Just hating,
guys.
It's not hate. It's fact.
It's true.
No, it's true. Like this competition, what it needs, it's obvious what it needs.
Wait, someone do the math. If MLS teams got a 1 goal, would any of them pass? Outside the ones that did the 2 that had to because it was MLS. That's somebody's homework.
But this needs more than anything, and we can make all the changes we want. But what it needs is more competition.
Yeah.
Boring. It's boring. Why? Because Mexican teams always win. Imagine the Champions League, the European Champions League, it'd be boring if teams from Spain won every single year for like 11 years. I mean, honestly, the interest would even drop there. You know what I mean? So it's what it needs. It needs MLS the MLS team to pull the finger out. And, you know, now the schedule, it's not ideal for them. We got to be fair. You know, it's not ideal for them because they're only just starting the season, but it is better now. But because they basically waited the whole...
It would be the MLS's fault that's not ideal to them because of their format and the way they start the seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. It is difficult to find the right time in the calendar and stuff. But it's better for them now because they've at least played a game in MLS before heading into the quarterfinals, and the teams from MLS have already played 2 CONCACAF Champions League games. So you know they've got some minutes under the belt. They've got the preseason behind them, but they should be better, better prepared. But it's not the same as the Mexican teams who have got 10 games and are really at the peak of the season now. But yeah, I mean, for me, that's what this competition needs. I mean,
Tom, you got a point there with the competition though, because like as a fan of Liga MX, like whether it be a quarterfinal, semifinal match, whether it's Liga MX versus MLS, like it really gets me going. I get excited, I get nervous. I'm rooting for Liga MX teams that I've never cared about ever. And then, like I said, and then you'll see something like, oh, Cruz Azul America at a final, like I said, and that feels like a Copa MX. And it's just, that's why it'd be so nice. I say this like, as someone who roots for the Liga MX sides. It'd be so nice to see an MLS side just make a deep run. I think that'd be fantastic. I want to see an MLS team make a deep run just to make it more exciting.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, the interest, for example, last year, it just completely drops when all the MLS teams go out. And then it's just a Mexican, like you said, like the Copa MX. Becomes a Mexican competition, and really, it's difficult to promote even in Mexico. I mean, outside the teams that are in the final, it's difficult to promote around the country. Like America Tigres last year, it was a bit difficult. I mean, Pachuca Tigres last year. I don't think people really got fully involved in it because it's a competition that a Mexican team's going to win, and I don't know. You need to build that rivalry. I think that's absolutely key moving forward.
Let's see other responses. More competition for Liga MX teams, which is from Juan Fra Villanueva, which is what we've been talking about. Juan Triguillo de la U, the inclusion of Ascenso MX teams, have them compete in the early stages of the competition and forward.
That's interesting.
That'll be and other don't other leagues, I mean other countries do have second division type of teams in the Concacaf Champions, or are they all first? I don't know.
I think they're all first, pretty much.
Are they all first? Yeah, no, for me, it goes back to competition. Robert had a question really quick. What are your thoughts on MLS teams in Concacaf Champions League will not play a league game in between the first and second leg?
Oh, really? I did not know that. So any team, so Seattle, New York Red Bulls, and as I say, FC Dallas, but they're not there. Toronto, they're not going to be playing a match this upcoming weekend.
I don't know if there's is that true? It was either.
I don't know if that's true. That's the first time I've heard of that. But
I thought Robert was saying, how about they don't?
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
What are your thoughts on MLS teams? Or if not, we don't. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, Robert. If that's how it is, someone can check up. I think
us all, man. You've confused us all.
with that question.
New York Red Bulls play this weekend.
Okay, yeah. So
I think. Yeah, so I think he was just saying maybe that can make it a little more competitive.
Yeah, but then again,
as far as that.
I'd argue that the stage that in the season that these MLS teams are at, then they probably it's good to have another game in between.
Yeah.
Get other players more in rhythm. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a massive deal. What is going to be interesting on the Mexican side is Tigres play against Tijuana on the weekend. And it's going to be fascinating, and I think it might happen. I think both the Mexican teams rotate. I think Tijuana almost guaranteed, no, Cesar?
Yeah, I mean, you could even when you would think that, like, why would Tijuana rotate against Tigres in a away match? But they did that against America in the Estadio Azteca when they put their starters in the CCL. So why would they do that against Tigres, especially if the defense is so good right now? So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw like a rotated squad this weekend that's very defensive from Tijuana. So
yeah.
All right, lots of talk on the chat, saying hello to everybody on there. Pancho Villas Army is on. Join the chat if you are able to join in a computer and join the conversation. Some guy is mad because I didn't answer him on Twitter. Apologies, man. I'll try to. All right, let's go into our show. Well, we talked a little about Concacaf Champions League. We'll go back to it. But let's just jump right in. Let's see what we have. We talked about Concacaf Champions League. The Clasico Nacional, very, very exciting match, especially the first half. A lot of people talking about that. And then we're going to talk a little about Liga MX, sprinkle in some pro relegation talk in there. Desde de Maria stepping down, and then who's coming in. So there's a lot of news. Anything else regarding the Concacaf Champions League? Just kind of, we're just seeing there, nothing on the competition. The Costa Rican teams weren't there. It looks like, I mean, it's pretty much going to be, if we're seeing it right, America Tigres, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think so far with the CCL, I mean, it's kind of what we expected. I mean, the only thing was that FC Dallas not going through was, I think, clearly the big shock. But I mean, it was, I think for the most part, it is what we all kind of anticipated there, and it's exactly what I mean. We were talking about it earlier. I think when it comes to excitement, that's ideally what fans are rooting for, which is all Liga MX versus all like MLS a quarterfinal. Of course, once again, you have Taro in there, but from Panama. But no, I think that for the most part, and I think what's interesting to note was that only Chivas, Seattle, and America were the ones who really got one-sided results here. I think that the rest of the matchups were, I mean, I know there's not a lot more, but they were surprisingly tricky. So I think that was interesting to note that Chivas, Seattle, and America were the ones who got the big like dominant results.
So now we're seeing Toronto, which is the best clubs in MLS, right? Against best clubs in Tigres. How do you think that will play out, Tom? Is there even a chance that it can be a competitive match in the way that we've seen, or at least it interests you to watch, right?
No, it's a top game. I mean, Toronto are a very, very good team. I think possibly the best MLS team of recent years. So I think from the Toronto side, they're excited about this. I think they've got a chance. Obviously, Giovinco is the best player in the league. He makes things happen. He scores goals, scores free kicks, makes assists. So I think Altidore, if he's on his game, he's not an easy striker to play against by any means. Michael Bradley in midfield. Toronto's a good team. So you think that if this is the exciting thing for me is these are two teams that generally represent the best of each league, and I don't think anybody from either league could put a really strong argument. I mean, Tigres, the way that they've done, I think it's 4 of the last 5 finals in Liga MX, reached the last 2 finals in Concacaf Champions League. I mean, that's a dynasty that Tuca Ferretti is creating there. And then on the Toronto side, I think they've reached the last 2 MLS Cup finals. I mean, this is as good a team as MLS has seen recently. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I mean, and I think it's that reason neither side can make that excuse. Oh, this isn't our best, this isn't our strongest. Yeah. It's like Toronto are ambitious. I think in the clubhouse in Toronto, they've got a space waiting for the Concacaf Champions League trophy. Yeah. I read that in a story. And so they want this competition. But if Toronto are going to do anything, they're going to got to get past Tigres, and then they're going to have to get past probably Club America, because America, you'd expect them to get past Tauro quite easily, no?
Yeah.
And so it's incredibly difficult for Toronto to get past both of those teams.
Yeah, unfortunate for Toronto. I mean, this match is going to feel like a final. I mean, it's just almost a little unlucky that they're going up against Tigres. I mean, just talk about just a powerhouse when you talk about talent that's within the Tigres roster. I think you do, Tom, you mentioned some of those names, Giovinco, Michael Bradley. I think you got to say something like Victor Vasquez too. I mean, they clearly are a talented side, but I know I still think that Tigres, have the advantage here. I think they're a little bit better, slightly better roster wise, and also, of course, they're in mid-season form. I know you could argue whether that's making excuses or not for MLS teams saying like, oh, the season has just started, it's a little unfair. Well, regardless of that, I mean, just Tigres are in mid-season form, and I do think that gives them a little. Yeah, no, I do feel a little bad for Toronto just because that they're going up against arguably the most talented team in like North America, the Western Hemisphere.
Don't feel bad, Cesar.
Just a little bit. Not too much.
All right. Too much. Enough CONCACAF Champions League. Let's talk about the Clásico Nacional. It's gonna be America and Tigres anyway in the final, so we can just skip anything to come back in. That's going to be Clásico Nacional, one of the best.
I heard you're a big Taro fan. I heard that you had some details, like some extreme details about the roster from Taro. I know that you're an expert about Panamanian soccer.
The Toro, the Taro soccer show, like the podcast.
Taro soccer.
All right, Clásico Nacional. I gotta say, it was one of the most entertaining, Clásico Nacionals that I remember in a while. Chivas won, America won. I believe both of them really, really good goals. Peralta, superb with his back. I've said it many, many times. We don't have a player like him. And then Godinez with a great goal. What a youngster! And what was happening in that match. I gotta say, I predicted a 1-1, and I felt like Chivas was gonna click. You know, we've been saying it, Tom. We've been watching all the Chivas matches and Liga MX and chill, and we've saying that it doesn't click, right? And it's what's been happening. For some reason, I felt like this Clasico Nacional, they're gonna click. I don't think America was gonna let him go, and it was gonna be a win. That's why I picked 1-1. But you were there, Tom. Give us a little bit about the atmosphere. I don't remember watching on TV a Chivas match where I am like, dang, the crowd is just nuts. I almost had to turn my TV down because the crowd was so loud. I don't know if it was speakers. There were some camera problems with Univision at the beginning. I felt like they were way zoomed in. Maybe that was it. But you were there. Tell us a little bit about it. And at the Akron? Stadium? Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, you know, I think this rivalry in 2016, they played, about 17 times or something in 12 months. I just think each of the games lost a bit of that, I don't know, that newness, that intensity, that, I don't know, just freshness about it. It became everybody became a bit lethargic about the Clásico Nacional. But I think this was the first time, I don't know, it felt like a proper rivalry again. Obviously, when Miguel Herrera's involved, that helps because he's just so passionate, so vibrant, no? And then Almeida as well on the bench. So yeah, it was a game I thought America went into as favourites, but you always had the feeling that Chivas, if they could, you know, Chivas under Almeida in the big games, they've tended to show up. They've tended to at least, you know, give a good account of themselves, and that's what they did. And I think, you know, it was an end-to-end game. An advert for Liga MX. It was brilliant. I think the Chivas crowd got into the game as it went on. I thought before it wasn't. I don't know. I've seen Clásico Nacionals with better atmosphere before, but I think that's because the Chivas fans were kind of a bit worried, maybe, no? Because looking at the league, I mean, this was first against 17.
I mean, I was predicting a 3-1 loss there for Chivas. I thought that, I mean, just based off form, once again, the conversation we've had many times before this game is just that form is thrown out the window. But I couldn't overlook that heading into this game. So maybe instead of just more celebratory, just more relief at the end there for fans too.
Yeah, I think America were a little bit unlucky with the refereeing. I thought the goal that he scored was good. I thought they could have had a penalty as well with Ibarra fouled. But yeah, in general, a really good game. Obviously, there was an irony when I was leaving the stadium. I was there listening to the press conference, and you could hear the Chivas fans chanting as they were leaving the stadium. And obviously, for Chivas fans, I think that in a certain way, a draw was a good result because it was kind of like everybody expected America to come to Guadalajara and you know, beat Chivas because Chivas are down. And it was supposed to be quite an easy win in some people's eyes for Club America. But I think what happened is Chivas really took the game to America, and Chivas fans kind of left kind of satisfied. But the irony of that is that the result was absolutely no good for Chivas. Chivas had to win that game to keep in the playoff race. For me, now Chivas are out, and for them, it's all about concentrating now on the Concacaf Champions League. And you know, if you look at the way the draw's split, you've got the two MLS clubs, Seattle Sounders against Chivas, obviously midweek. Chivas can get through that. They go up against Club Tijuana or New York Red Bulls. I mean, Chivas can beat both those teams, you know. And if they can do, if they can do that, then they're in the final. So I wouldn't rule Chivas out of the Concacaf Champions League. And I think it's helping them big time that they're on the good side of the draw, because at the other side you've got, you know, Tigres and America, who are likely to meet in the semi-final. Yeah,
when you're looking at that bracket, it does seem like one is a little bit, not even a little bit, like much stronger than the other. You got America, you got Toronto, you got Tigres on one side, and they might all run into each other at some point at the semi-final. Then you have on the other side, it's Tijuana, New York Red Bulls, Seattle, Chivas. So it is interesting how that was just kind of set up. And yeah, for someone like Chivas, I mean, their path to the final would be a lot easier than for America. I know America has a Taro, so that's easily the most straightforward match from the quarterfinal stage. But after that, they're either going to face Toronto or Tigres. So that's just not ideal for them. But I think that's interesting to know. It's just like, it just seems like that one side of the bracket is just so much better than the other.
Can you imagine Chivas winning the Concacaf Champions League and going to the Club World Cup, just ruining Tigres' party?
Yeah. And then they finished second to last place in the league.
Yeah. Remember, this is the thing about I think some of the changes with the CONCACAF Champions League, because the Mexican teams are only coming into it in kind of late February, and it's already knockout stage. I think teams are getting into it. I spoke to Joe Corona after the America Chivas game, and he said the CONCACAF Champions League for Club America has equal importance to the league this season. I mean, that tells a story. Yeah. You look at Tigres, and when I was up in Monterrey for the final against Rayados, the Monterrey fans, the way they make fun of Tigres fans at the minute is they're like, "Where are your international titles? Show us your international titles. Oh, you might be winning the Liga MX here and there, but show us what you've done at international level." And Tigres have got no comeback because they've lost the last two finals. And I think this Tigres as an institution are absolutely desperate to get to that Club World Cup and put a trophy in the cabinet that's not a domestic one.
Wait, what titles does Monterrey have internationally aside?
No, they won the 3 in the row, didn't they? The
3 years. The 3 years in a row with Vucetich.
Got it. I was thinking, I'm like, what other one?
They won the Champions League.
Did you remember that when they beat Real Madrid like 4-0? Oh, it was dope.
What happened in those 3 runs from Vucetich in the Club World Cup?
Not much.
Yeah, not much. All right. As far as America still, undefeated for those that are keeping score, but a little worrying. So also, right? I mean, it's an undefeated that still doesn't feel like it's the top. Santos is still up there, but go ahead, Cesar.
Yeah, it's always not ideal for America. I mean, that was their 3rd draw in a row. There's a side that, I mean, when you ask any fans, I mean, ideally they want them always sitting constantly at first place. So obviously, like getting 3 draws in a row is not the best run of form for them, but they're still undefeated, and I think that says a lot in the Liga MX. So I still see them as one of the title contenders. I don't think that's still too much of a stretch to say. I do think that they're up there. You see Monterrey struggling a little bit. You see, I know Tigres are, I mean, once they make it to the playoffs, they're clearly one of the title contenders too. But I would still say that, I think America's still up there, regardless of the fact that they haven't won a game in 3 matches in a row.
Kind of transition into our Liga MX talk. I mean, I'm looking at the table, and because I'm always looking to see where Leon is at, right? And they're in 11th place. Yeah. And if you go from 11th to the 2nd place, it's like everyone has only 4 wins, I think, except maybe 1 team.
But yeah, there's a lot of parity in this. Like, and also, like, there's a small amount of difference between those teams in points. Like, 1 win or loss could really like skyrocket you up the table. Yeah.
So Leon has as many wins as America right now. You know what I mean? And in the 11th place. So I'm looking at how good America is. And if we got to say that, it's almost the same. I think even Monarcas has more wins than America, if I'm looking at it, or one of the teams. Yeah. Puebla. Yeah, has more wins.
But the only thing I'd say about America, well, 2 things. One, they're not losing, which is obviously that's how you win titles. But secondly, I think they can improve. I mean, after watching them over the weekend on Saturday, they're not the finished product. You can see that, Menez, the French guy, he's got something, but he completely doesn't understand his teammates yet, and they don't understand him. He's like, he probably can't speak either because I don't think his Spanish he's learning. He's learning Spanish basically, but you can tell he's just kind of not on the same wavelength. And Oribe Peralta was, for me, absolutely brilliant. Every time I watch that guy live, I don't know. He's just, you appreciate what he gives to a team. And what is he now, like 33, 34? And the amount he runs is an absolute example to all the rest of his players. He chases, he battles, he wins free kicks, he holds the ball up, like you said, we saw with the back to goal. He brings players in. He was very, very good. And I think that if him and Menez can kind of forge an understanding, then I think America can get better. And I think that's a key point about Las Águilas this season under Herrera.
Their depth is good too. When you look at that bench, obviously you can't compare it to a Tigres or a Monterrey, just because they're I mean, especially Tigres, because their depth is incredible. But America, what was that?
Yeah, I don't think they're far off.
No.
Honestly.
Yeah, no. America has some great options right there. You got Linus, you got Joe Corona, you got. I mean, if you take a look at that bench against Chivas, I mean, just so many interesting options right there. They have that could help them going forward if there's an injury, if there's something else going on where they need to rotate some players, which Piojo has done every now and then. He needs to rotate some players every now and then. So I do think that when it comes to depth, that's just something that is going to benefit them as the season progresses.
And I think with Guido Rodriguez and Uribe, for me, that's the best central midfield in the league. Yeah. Such a great balance between Rodriguez, who very much a defensive midfielder, and Uribe, a number 8, who back and forth and seems to be everywhere, can tackle, he can pass, and it's an exciting combination there in the middle. I think America are well set. Obviously. I think the other thing about the Clasico that stood out was Chofis won a header. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Dude, that was everywhere, man.
Couldn't believe it.
Well, look at my tweet where I saw Chofis like 9 feet in the air. I know that, I've seen Chofis and the way he is, but, that first half, the way that he's playing with Pulido, I feel I'm seeing a really good matchup between them, good chemistry, and then add Pizarro in there. I really like them, and that's what I'm just kind of seeing that. I feel like Chivas just needs to click, and I don't know how that's going to work, but
I think Tom's talked about that too. Tom's
go on.
I say Tom's talked about that too. I mean, just like Tom, obviously, Tom, you followed them much more close than I do, but it feels a little unlucky for them. That they're just, they have more possession, they have more shot creations. But it was actually kind of interesting where I was talking to Jason during the recent Liga MX and Chill, and I can't believe I just say that casually now, Liga MX and Chill. But we're discussing the fact that maybe if they've been so unlucky this consistently, maybe this isn't anything to do with luck, that there's just something going wrong here. This isn't has nothing to do with luck, that there's just something's going wrong here that needs to be figured out.
Yeah, but I think once you've got a problem that can constantly repeats itself for a time, it kind of reinforces the lack of belief and I don't know, they kind of trying almost too hard now. I feel the Chivas players, when they get in the final third, it's almost like panic. It's like, oh, we've got now. What do we do? And I see it a lot in Pizarro. Because Pizarro is brilliant, and I thought he had a great game against America, but I don't know, the thing with Pizarro that I think is happening is he's taking an extra touch. He's almost wanting to do everything. He's almost so desperate to make something happen that I think he's overcomplicated his whole game. Instead of just playing the simple pass, he's trying to do something special.
It's almost like Pizarro is kind of frustrated and he wants to do. I mean, you're seeing him. He's like, I'm the only talent up here.
Yeah,
I want to make sure that I'm doing this.
And Chofis is just continues to divide because, all right, he got the assist and everybody. I mean, it was a very good header for the assist. I mean, Carlos Vargas, I think he's a good young Mexican player, but Herrera will be going crazy at him there because if he's supposed to be a centre back as well. You can't be beating off Chofis with a long ball over the top. But yeah, Chofis, he had another chance. You know what I mean? He had a big chance there to score, and I think that's the frustration with him, that he's not been able to kind of step up and really impact the game in terms of that it's shown on the score sheet. I know he creates chances, but I don't know. I want to see him score more goals, and I think that's why he's not for me anywhere near the Mexican national team right now.
Yeah, and especially since there have always been such high expectations from him when he started to break through. People, of course, were making those ridiculous, like, I think there was some article that someone wrote, I forget where, they said he's like the Mexican Messi, and you're like, all right, let's just calm down about Chofis. But I think that people had such high expectations for him when he first showed up as well.
Pizarro, the next Messi, man.
Pizarro's the next.
Jesus. All right, Santos up. What is it? Turnaround story. A team 6 wins. Commanding at the top. What's working for them, guys?
It's Giannini, isn't it? I mean, you got some guys scoring 12 goals in 10 games. that boost at any side. But also, I mean, obviously, you have to give credit to the defense. I think there's a lot of focus on the attack, but also I think we look at someone like Villafaña or Izquierdos. I think that they've been doing quite well too. So yeah, I got to give credit to the defense too. But but that attack with Giannini, I mean, that's just phenomenal. I mean, just what he's doing right now is just incredible. So it's exciting to see how many more goals he can get. It is incredible for those who already aren't keeping track. I mean, he's already surpassed the total that Aviles and Boselli had last season. They had 11 goals, and they were the leading goal scorers. And Giannini already has 12, and he still has plenty of games left in hand.
Are you guys already putting them as a title contender? I mean, you see the Monterrey teams kind of in there, right? They're like, we're not really going to try until we want to try. Does this Santos side is just taking advantage of everyone not caring about the league and teams just really not being that good? That all right, we'll be at the top, we'll make a run at it.
No, I think you have to put them in the equation. I think the player for player, a good team. I mean, I think Gallito Vasquez was the signing of the offseason.
Yeah.
Or, it's obviously easy to say that with hindsight, but you look back now and that was the missing piece of the jigsaw. I think that you look in goal, Jonathan Orozco is someone who's won titles. I think Nestor Araujo is somebody who's probably going to go to Europe.
Yeah.
Izquierdos, the captain, is just a typical hard South American defender who gets the job done. And that partnership as well, Araujo and Izquierdos, it just lays the foundation. And I think last season there was injury. One of the two had injury, and so they didn't keep that partnership. And I think that's absolutely key. And then obviously Gallito Vasquez in front. I mean, this is the spine of the team. Julio Fortes as well. I think he's playing pretty well. And you can see it's kind of working now. So yeah, I'd put him in the equation. Obviously, I don't think Giannini is going to be able to keep up this ridiculous scoring for the old tournament, but he's a constant threat, Giannini, and his goals fired Santos to a title a couple of years ago. So there's no reason they can't be in the equation. But obviously, let's see how Monterrey, obviously in a bad spot right now, but let's see how they turn up into the Liguilla, and let's see how Tigres are like, Club America. I mean, I think those three for me, I'd still put those three ahead of all the rest and by a little bit of a distance as well.
I'm glad to see Giannini doing this well, because I think for a while we've been questioning his consistency, and that's always been a big talking point. And I'm glad to finally see him getting these 12 goals that he's had so far. So yeah, no, I think that's really, really cool to see, especially when you hear his story. A little bit of a plug in there for an article I'll have about him later on this week. But yeah, I got a few quotes from him, and it'll be cool to share his story from Cape Verde to Portugal over to Mexico, which is kind of cool. But yeah, you guys will see it later on this week.
I'm trying to see who Santos has faced. This, have they beaten teams, and now we're going to start seeing that soon. See, they got Monterrey coming up. Well, they got Tampico Madero tomorrow, but Monterrey coming up, Puebla, Atlas, Querétaro, Pachuca, then the Pumas, Club America. So, give it to them. I guess they have. I mean, they beat Chivas.
I mean, they already have 20 points. So regardless of the opposition, they have 8 games left. 7 games left to get just like a handful more points, and they almost have a spot in the playoffs guaranteed. So I mean, regardless of who they're going to be facing, they're pretty close to guaranteeing themselves a spot in the top 8.
Playing Atlas as well, aren't they, in a couple of weeks? So that's pretty much 3 more points.
Can't get it.
I know.
Or Puebla, what the?
Yeah, no, I think Enrique Mesa has done.
Man.
He's established
the national team.
70-year-old Enrique Mesa.
And I think the players have bought into it. I think
how old are those English guys? This guy's been coaching forever. Isn't the age, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously he knows what he's doing. I think like I said, I think he's got the players playing for him, obviously, and really integrated, and they look like they're having fun. A couple of signings that are just, Zamora, Venegas, players that you just never done much in other teams, and then all of a sudden, Hugo Rodriguez as well. I mean, you wouldn't put those players together and think, this is going to be a team fighting for the playoff spots. But yeah, no, it's good to see. I think for me, I mean, I think Puebla as a city, as a team, think it's got massive potential, and it's good to see him up there. And what a result! I mean, that was the first time in 23 years that they've won against Monterrey in Monterrey. So yeah, massive achievement. One thing I will say, and I said it about Pumas earlier in the season, I don't think they're as good as the showing now.
Yeah.
You know, I think, obviously teams go on little runs, the confidence goes up, things start to click. But I don't think this is a team that, come the end of the season, I think Puebla will be in the playoff mix. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they miss out.
I heard a strong rumor that Cuervos FC are considering moving their stadium over to Puebla. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but I heard they may be considering going over there.
I heard a rumor that we're going to be in Cuervos FC's 6th season. We're going to be in one of the episodes, talking about the new English in English. Just remember my. Just remember that. All right. All right.
But Monterrey. I mean, this is now kind of worrisome because losing at home in that manner to Puebla is just not. That's not Monterrey. That's not how this team under Mohamed should be playing. They've lost in the Necaxa 3-0. They beat Atlas 1-0, but in that game they were playing against 9 men by the end. They played majority of the game against 10, and they struggled. They relied on that Rafa Marquez late challenge to get a result. So it's not working right now for Monterrey. I don't know. He's playing kind of 3 central defenders with Jesus Molina on the right, and I'm not sure why he's changed from how he was playing last season with the back 4. And because I mean, Stefan Medina is not a wing back. And this season he's playing as a wing back, and I just don't think Monterrey, with all the quality they've got, need an extra man in defense basically.
Yeah, 3 losses in their last 5 games. So there is something going on there with the defense. Yeah, whether it be that change to what essentially almost like 3 central defenders, or I know something else going on, but it's just that defense has just looked really questionable recently. I think that's the big. I think they're still scoring every now and then. I think they're all right in the attack. It's the back line that I think is really the weak link right now.
Santos Laguna as well on Sunday coming up. So I've come to the realization that you can't get excited for any teams during the Liga MX season. It's like, Pumas, are they the real deal? Yes, no. It's like, we're talking about Santos. Yeah, are they the real deal? Great. Puebla's back. Are they the real deal? I feel like, America's not even the real deal right now with so many ties and only.
Why are we even talking about Liga MX? We should wait. We should wait until the playoffs. Just no Liga MX.
Because it's true. It's like we got to go back. Oh, Pumas is back, guys. Don't even get me started with Cruz Azul. It's like they win 2 games and we're like, hey, they're finally done. And no, it's just Liga MX is always going to find a way to disappoint you. You're not going to be able to predict anything with Liga MX.
I don't know. I mean, I think for example, Tigres.
No, I'll give you Tigres.
In the way, America.
But they
can for the most part, Monterrey, but
they'll lose right now to Atlas and be like, well, Tigres is just not. Look at the first game.
I also think that it's like, I think it's our fault as well. Like the media, like a team wins 3 games and we're all like, oh, I think that's on us.
Because we're starving for something different.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I definitely wrote a Pumas or back article, and I'm definitely one of those guys.
Yeah, but it's difficult. I mean, this system as well. I mean, even Tigres. I mean, I don't think they've really been doing pre-seasons, to be honest. I mean, not full pre-season. They just kind of do a half pre-season. Give the players a bit of a break because they're pretty much always reaching the final. So then they give the players a minimum, a decent break. And then they go into pre-season, and they're always kind of 2 weeks behind. But then they catch up, and we're seeing that now. They're in 4th now. I think 2 weeks ago they were outside of the playoff spot. So I mean, it's just the nature of the league system as well. But yeah, I mean, even a team like Toluca, we don't really talk about them too much, but they're doing pretty well. Only 2 losses out of the 10 games. And yeah, Tijuana as well, Cesano. I mean, Morelia.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely convinced by Tijuana. They're looking like a playoff team, but I'm not going to say just yet. Yeah, they're for sure they're a playoff team.
This is why I'm a Leon team. I'll disappoint you all the beginning of the season. Find a way to get into the playoffs and hopefully win. Look what happened on Sunday. They looked like a great team Saturday.
Week 15, get 3 wins in a row. Boom. Sneak in
Boom.
8th place.
Sneak in. That's what's gonna happen. You guys.
They're tied with 14 other teams with 22 points, but they sneak by with goal differential.
Friend of the show, Daniel Purcell, is saying Weez is only saying this because Leon is caca this season. I know Danny. He's a good guy. He's saying hello to him. He's a Santos fan, so because he's up at top. All right. Anything else at Liga MX, guys?
No, Cruz Azul maybe terrible. Atlas terrible.
Jason's on suicide watch.
I mean, I don't know what to say about those two. Lobos Guap look like they're going to stay up, but not doing much.
That defense. I mean, I was there in the Estado Caliente. I mean, first half I was like, oh, you know what? I don't know why people are giving Lobos Guap so much crap. They're doing all right. They're doing it, and then just second half, they just fell apart. They just completely fell apart against Tijuana. So, yeah, no, that's just it's not good for Lobos Guap.
All right. Well, then moving on. Mexicans abroad, just really quick. You have the MLS starting. You saw Gio with not a good game. Amy reporting from the stadium outside that that he got subbed, that he had some problems coming in. Maybe he wasn't able to keep up. The coach has said that, so that's bad on Gio. Jonathan having a good game, and then Vela actually watched the first half of the game against Seattle. And looked good. Looked like he was enjoying himself with a great pass out there. So at least for the MLS guys, the 3 guys, Gio and Vela and Jonah, as far as some news out there. But anything else with the Mexicans abroad there? We talk about Mr. Moreno scoring a goal.
Yeah, Moreno got a goal there. I think that's really important for him, especially with him transitioning into the new team. So I think credit to him. Hector Herrera got an assist recently in a big win for Porto. You just continue to build on his good season. Layun continues to start for Sevilla. I mean, whether he's playing well or not, it's just still up in the air. But I think it's kind of interesting. They just immediately thrown him into the 11, and he's already made it and solidified almost a starting spot right back for them the last couple games. So yeah, and then of course, not exactly the best weekends for Chicharito and Raul Jimenez. It's just, Chicharito couldn't get the goal there. Now, of course, Jimenez just was given a cameo appearance for Benfica. So
that's how normal it is with Jimenez.
I don't think there's too much new. No, nothing particularly new there, is there? Liking Layun, just the fact that he's playing now, and hopefully,
the final.
Yeah, the fight, and just getting rid of the cobwebs, because he's not played for so long that. He's not had a good start to his career with Sevilla, but it's almost natural. It's difficult. It's difficult after not playing for so long. But I was disappointed with Giovanni Dos Santos for Galaxy. Stayed up, watched the game, and you had Osorio's comment saying that back in January, and Gio as well, that he's never felt so good coming into a preseason. I thought he'd be absolutely fired up for the game. Knowing that this is World Cup year, knowing that MLS, that the season starts later, he has to prove himself, and I just don't. It's not that he wasn't trying; he just didn't play well. He wasn't involved in the game as much as he should have been. I think if you look at the number of touches, the stats on the number of touches, he didn't have the ball a lot. And then I thought he had a really good chance to make it 3-0 in the second half, and he spawned it, and you could tell he was angry with himself. And you saw Jonathan behind him, he was just at it a bit more. Jonathan looked like he was. Not in preseason, whereas Gio, in a way, seemed to be still in kind of preseason mode. And I don't know, I was disappointed because I know a lot of people probably listening to us, and definitely on my Twitter, are always like, oh, Gio needs to be out of the squad. Gio needs to be out of the squad. I think there's arguments, obviously, for him being in the squad in terms of he's a left-footed player. He's got 100 or more caps. He's very well integrated within the squad. All the things that I think the manager thinks about. But at the end of the day, it matters what you do on the field. And like I was saying in the Countdown to Russia podcast, it's almost like he's just been kind of, I don't know, just in a daze, really ever since 2017 started.
Yeah, Tom, we talked about that account. By the way, Tom would have a special Countdown to Russia podcast episode will be released tomorrow, because tomorrow's officially 100 days away from the World Cup. But yeah, no, I think, I mean, what we talked about in that podcast was just, there's a stark, difference between what Vela did and what Gio did. And both really have to hit the ground running. Both have so much to prove this season, and it's just not looking good for Gio. And I'm also, like, as an LTD fan, I still think that Gio should go to the World Cup. And Tom, we talked about this in the podcast, but there are other players who are just gonna, who could potentially push him out. And I wouldn't be that bothered if he was to get pushed out if this continues. It's just one game, but it's not what you wanted to see from Gio. Starting the season.
Right now, the World Cup is 2 weeks away, and you have Gio and in that bubble for me. Yeah. I haven't seen it. He's got to do miraculous things in the next month or two. I think he'll still go. I think Osorio will still give him a chance. I think, hey, what he's done. But when as a fan do you just say, okay, he doesn't give you enough confidence to beat players like he used to shoot like he used to. He doesn't have that stamina like he used to, and look at what he has. So you have Pizarro or Gio to pick from. I'm taking Pizarro right now.
No.
I don't think it's Pizarro or Gio. That's the only thing. I think it's more likely Eric Gutierrez at this point. Yeah. Because he's another left-footed player. I think Osorio's obviously experimenting with Gio in the kind of more advanced midfield role. On the left of the midfield. I just think Mexico have got other players. Like, Vela can basically do everything that Gio can do, Yeah. But yeah, I think
what can Gio do that no one else can? That's the question.
It's play different positions.
I think it's versatility is what its biggest boost there.
And it's his experience. You don't know how players are going to react. And at the end of the day, Giovanni Dos Santos in the last World Cup played well.
Yeah, give him.
All I'm saying is, this is the thing. Players regularly, players go through down spells in the career. Every player does it. But Giovanni Dos Santos it's been going on a bit too long. And the problem is, every time you think, right, this is Gio's moment to kind of reassert himself, show people what he can do. Let's not get carried away. It's one game of the season. But you want him to kind of impact a game, and it's been a while since he's impacted a game.
Yeah, I think
that's the bottom line.
Yeah. I think it just comes down that we want the old Gio, and then that frustration comes back.
I just don't think we're gonna get that, Gio. I wouldn't be surprised if nothing changes for him. I wouldn't be surprised if I think. I don't know much about the guys, but I think it seems like Jonathan has a better work ethic than Gio. I think that's...
You're just following his Instagram, dude.
It just seems like it. No, it just seems like it. It seems like it. It definitely... if you guys were to take a guess, would you say that Jonathan has a better work ethic than Gio? I don't know.
I thought you said workout.
I said work ethic. Not workout. I meant work ethic.
I was like, his stamina. I was like, his way to workout. I'm like, he's always posting his stuff on the beach.
I've seen him do crunches, bro. No, I meant work ethic. Work ethic.
Got it. I got you. I'll take that back. No, it just we want that Gio back. That's all, right?
2011 Gio back. 7 years ago.
I still think he's the best player in the World Cup in 2014. What he did against Holland, against Cameroon. It's hopefully he can take this and run with it. And he's gonna have to have pretty good games. I still think he goes. I think Osorio will go, or my conspiracy that you can't take one or the other according to his dad. So I'm going to continue with that, right? And the federation that they have with the Dos Santos dad. All right, we're going into it. I know we started a little late, so we'll end just a few minutes later. But let's talk about big news. Relegation is out. When that kind of came out, I was like, nah, what's going on here? Liga MX suspends relegation in order to move league to 20 teams, and Twitter goes crazy trying to understand this move, but only in the 2 years. So, Tom, give us some sense. What's happening? What is this? Relegation is supposed to be part of football. You're supposed to know that they go down. It's better for the league. But then here comes Mexico. Now they're taking it away from it. But then some people say, so tell us what's going on.
No, I think what happened is that some of the owners arrived in the meeting on Friday, and they're expecting to debate relegation. They're expecting to come out with a real plan of how it's going to work. And I think Desio Di Maria resigning as the FMF president kind of took him out by shock. And then obviously the theme of the day became who's going to be the new president. And then obviously Televisa's Yondy Luisa comes in, and they vote for him. I mean,
we can talk about that for a whole hour.
Yeah, but yeah. So with the relegation, I mean, honestly, I don't. The statement was so vague on what's going to happen. It wasn't. There's so many questions for me that need to be answered. But basically, the bottom line is that it looks like relegation is going to be suspended for 2 years, and then the teams that go up are going to have to satisfy certain kind of requisites to be able to go up. We don't know exactly what they are yet, because the league they're going to announce what the actual rules are further down the line. But I mean, for me, there's so many question marks. I don't, if a team wins the Ascenso MX and then doesn't fulfill these requisites, what happens? Nobody gets promoted. So then what happens is it rolls over into another year. So we could be I mean, that's how I understand it. And if that's the case, then we could be talking 2023, and we've still not got 20 teams in the league. You know what I mean? And then with the relegation, I mean, okay, it's suspended, but the team that finishes last in the points per games ratio, the table, they got to pay a financial penalty. Now, to avoid relegation, I assume. What happens if they don't want to pay that? What happens if they can't
even pay their players? Some teams.
Yeah, that's
And so what happens in that case? Do they go down? But then you have a league of 17 teams, because if one of those teams goes down and the team that comes up doesn't fulfill the requisites, then I don't know. So honestly, hopefully, behind the scenes, they've got this a lot clearer than I have, because I don't understand what's going on with it.
Or just what happens after 2020.
I really know about. I'm like, all right, it's coming. I'll ask Tom. That was my answer.
No, but yeah, that's the big question. What happens after 2020? What happens when they've got 20 teams in the league? There's been no pronouncement on that. There's no guarantee that the pro rel thing will continue. And the League MX bosses, I mean, we saw in the way that they just voted in one Friday afternoon. I mean, it was hilarious, because you had US soccer, and there was months of debate, and Kyle Martino, Winalda, all these big guys are they're debating the real issues that are at the heart of the football in the United States, and putting up websites and statements and Twitter Q&As and all this kind of thing. And then Mexico is like, get the League MX owners together. Okay. And like, oh yeah, I'm resigning. Okay. All right. Who's next then? All right. He'll have it. Everyone voting for him. Yeah. Okay. And it's like, that's it. And then they just announce a statement. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, how does that work? I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, the other big news is the president, Yondy Luisa. I've honestly heard really good things about him in terms of he knows how to get things done. He's obviously a bit younger. I think he'll freshen up the federation. But at the end of the day, he's coming from Televisa again. And I mean, I'm not saying anything bad against Televisa, but they've also got the rights to the national team. They've also just bought the rights for the next 8 years in a controversial kind of new deal. A lot of people weren't happy with the way it went down. There was obviously this clause in there that was an automatic renewal of TV rights, but nobody had heard about the clause until a couple of weeks before the new deal was announced. So, but I mean, it's just from, if you take a step back and think about, say, US soccer or the Spanish FA, and they're constantly hiring people to be president of the soccer federation, they were just from one media company, then obviously you're going to get conspiracy theories around these things. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. It's just, you imagine, the head of Fox just moves to US soccer. Fox get the rights all the time. They don't give many interviews out to other people. And then, 4 years or 8 years down the line, they hire somebody else who's got a relationship with Fox. And then 4 years after that, they hire the director of sports at Fox. I mean, you're gonna start thinking, aren't you? Like, what's this relationship here between the US soccer and Fox? If all the presidents are coming from one company, I mean, this is the thing that it's not very transparent, and I think that runs through the whole of Mexican football.
Yeah, I think that transparency is a big thing. And I think going back to the pro rel thing, I mean, as And as we're all members of the Liga MX English community, we're all trying to promote Liga MX Mexican soccer. And my big issue with this new pro rel thing, I mean, I actually have a lot of issues, but one of the bigger issues is just if this is a league that's supposed to be globalized, if it's a league that's supposed to be getting more and more attention, little by little, this is just another layer of just something that you're going to have to describe to someone. Like it's already really confusing with the current, just the way the current league is set up, with the way that the playoffs are set up. That's already hard to get into because of that. And now you have to explain how the relegation is going to work over the next couple of years, and we don't know what's going to happen after that. So it's another hurdle that makes it more difficult for a casual soccer fan from outside of North America to try to get into the league. And I just think that there's just no clear game plan with a focus on how do we globalize this league? How do we make it better? I don't think that ever was a single thought in their mind when they made this decision.
I'm not sure. I think what they want to do is increase the value of their product. Yeah, I think they want these. I think they're basically looking at MLS, where you're now paying way over $100 million, for a franchise, and they want that. And I think, for example, TV Azteca, I think they've had trouble selling Morelia. Yeah, because they want much more money than they can get for it, or people are offering for it for the club. So I think that's going on. I mean, then you've got Pachuca and Leon, who are owned by the same people, and in theory, Leon at some point should be sold to get rid of multi-ownership. But that's up in the air as well, because that was supposed to be out by May 2018. That was what they said a couple of years ago. No more multi-ownership by 2018. Yeah. Then they kind of get together and they say, "Oh, you know what? It's a bit difficult, compadre. It's like they're not offering the money that I want. Okay, no worries. We'll give you a bit longer, and maybe we could close the system so that hopefully the prices of each of the franchises increase." I mean, I think that's what. But then they're making they're the owners, and they're always going to kind of vote for themselves. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so why vote for somebody who's different from the status quo? Why vote for somebody? Why vote for something that, for example, the relegation? If Liga MX, they're making the rules about relegation, then there's not going to be relegation because they don't want to go down. I mean, I don't know. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this is the way it's run. I think that I think they do want to, improve the quality of the league and improve the value of the teams. And I think they'll probably make it happen, but it's just weird. I don't know how they're going to do that. But for example, now you've got the Televisa guy as FMF president, voted in by the Liga MX clubs. In the future, potentially, I mean, it's going to be different because a lot of the teams in Mexico are owned by media companies, but potentially they could do a TV deal like La Liga recently, I think 2 years ago, which kind of, it's a deal for the whole league, but it's distributed depending on final finishing position. And it's been cited as one of the reasons that some of the smaller clubs have been able to catch up. I think the wages in La Liga have kind of improved as well from the bottom teams and the mid-table teams. I think they've been able to play players a bit better now as well. So you'd want something like that for Liga MX. That would be absolutely ideal, because then the TV companies are also promoting your brand. But that's not going to happen it's unlikely to happen when you've got somebody from one TV company who's made his whole career in this company in charge of the whole Mexican football, basically. I mean, I don't know. Does that make sense? I don't.
No, because sometimes it doesn't make sense, but it's not surprising, Tom. I don't think anybody's surprised by it. It continues to be how Mexico will do soccer. This group of people will continue to run things in the way that they are, and I mean, there's other owners that are not part of that Televisa group that I just don't. They voted for the guy, so I just feel like there's not even any control there. I would think, the Azteca team. You're looking at Club Pachuca and all the things that's happening within those owners, but they still did.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to understand. Obviously, I think they've kind of made some kind of pact and stuff. But at the end of the day, they all need each other, and they're all related outside of football as well. I mean, it's not just a football thing.
Would you say it'd be called a Pacto de Caballeros?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that.
That's our only contribution to this conversation that we've had the past few minutes.
From the chat, says Tom for FMF president. I think we just leave it at that. Tom,
you're on.
How much do they pay?
Another media company goes in for ESPN.
What are the benefits?
So Televisa guy does it, and we get angry. But Tom,
Tom
go ahead. Yeah, sure. Why not? Oh, it's because we're his friends. That's why. Conspiracy.
All right, guys. We went a little long. National team news. Not really much. I think Osorio was in Europe, right? He was in Germany. I think he's traveling around, either watching some of the Mexicans abroad. We should be hearing lists coming out for the games that are coming up at the end of the month. Iceland, Croatia. Let's see if anybody kind of leaks out if there are already some lists. I think we're expecting all of them to bill since it's a FIFA date. But other than that, remember, guys, be part of our Patreon page. I know we keep talking about it every week. The support we've seen, definitely a lot of people join in. There's different, it's $2 or it's $4, and you get to hear tomorrow, especially with our 100 days. We have 100 days to the World Cup, and Tom and Cesar will have a great show that was already been recorded, right? Recorded today.
Yep, and we talk about the 5 issues that Mexico has to resolve before the World Cup. They have 100 days left to do it. Countdown begins now.
5 issues. What are those 5 issues? Send us your predictions of those 5 issues. Join our Patreon and see how it goes. There were also last week, if you missed it, all about coaches, right? 5 coaches, top picks.
Oh man, we went through I don't even know how many coaches we went through. It must have been like
15, 20. Yeah.
Was Mesa involved? And I'm sorry, guys, I wasn't able.
Mesa, he was number 1. He was number 1. Tom was going on.
Let me guess. Bielsa. Bielsa was what most
Bielsa was there, but he wasn't the.
Cesar and Naib, neither have mentioned Bielsa.
No.
Yeah, I forget who we ended up voting as. No, we're not going to. Go to follow our Patreon page. You can find out.
Okay, you find out.
The winner when we added up all the votes was a current MLS manager.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, Bradley. Hey,
anyway, I'm going.
Wait, Jurgen Klinsmann was in Mexico. What was that all about? Did you hear about that?
Who was in Mexico?
Jurgen Klinsmann was in Mexico.
Oh, dude, he goes to Xolos games too. He just likes Mexican soccer.
Yeah, but no, there's rumors because Chivas are looking for a sporting advisor. I've heard that Klinsmann isn't ready to work yet, and I'm not 100% consider Mexico right now. But I'll let you know if there's any developments there.
Oh. All right, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. We'll talk next week. Make sure you join our Patreon. Podcast will be out tomorrow. The CTR, Countdown to Russia. All right. And then Liga MX and Chill, join us. I will figure out what game we'll be doing this weekend. I'll talk to you guys next week. So hasta la próxima, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, wherever else in between you are. Monday Night Football. Talk to you guys. Hasta la próxima.
Later.